one.
Wait, hold on a sec. Mine's please ask the host to give permission to record. Can I record?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know because it's just like I don't know how I gotta do that. Oh well, we'll worry about that some other day. But what's up, everybody? It's Casey with Two Worlds Podcast, and with me as always, it's the Joey to my Chandler. It's Jake. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. Just thinking about it, I should have been Joey, you Chandler. So I'm like, how you doing?
Yeah, I at least understand the reference. I'm not like a massive Friends fan, but I just have to ask why this one?
I mean, it was just every once in a while I'll look through lists of like popular buddy groups, and I was like, Joey and Chandler. There we go. We'll get this one.
All right. Well, let's get into our news. So, I think we're about even Stevens. So, but one of yours is a lot bigger than mine, so I'll go ahead and start us off.
All right.
So Breck Basinger, I guess is how you say her name. She's the gal that plays Stargirl in Stargirl. She all but confirmed a Stargirl and Titans crossover on an Instagram photo. And I've not seen the second season of Stargirl, I've just seen the first one, but I liked it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And you already know I like Titans, so I'm actually pretty hyped for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I saw that too, and I was like, for someone that's, I would say at the very least, like lukewarm on both of those shows, I'm like, he's probably at the very least like, this sounds interesting.
Indeed.
So I talked about how like All Monsters Attack is going to get moved to Chicago last week, and then they've just been announcing guests after guests. So I was like, I'm going to list all of them. So if anyone's listening to this and they're like, think about going to this and doing a Two Worlds podcast meetup where it's going to be very awkward because Casey's not very personable in real life. Just be like, oh, hey, like, hi, you having a good con? Yeah, okay, bye. But if you want to, here's the list of people that have been announced as guests so far. We have Ben Furia is coming back. He was Ultraman. Carl Ryan from Gamma versus Varus. Like, so basically, he was the token white guy that they got, or white kid that they got for that movie. Because a lot of the Gammers were doing that. They're just like, hey, you're a kid that, whose parents are on the Air Force Base. Come be in this movie. And then we had Toshiro Ogura. It's a suit actor and Kamen Rider and played multiple kaiju in Final Wars. Kitagawa is returning. He was Millennium Godzilla. Then the one that I'm really, really excited for because I've been wanting to meet him for a while, TJ Storm. He did the motion work for Godzilla and the King of the Monsters and a lot of the legendary movies. And then the one I'm most excited about though is Oda. She's played Baragon in GMK. She's like, I'm gonna get my GMK autographed again, so I'll have two of the monsters now autographing it. And I included a clip for Jake to watch because the director of GMK, he would do this a lot. You can Google. I'll put the clip in our notes. But basically, he would have all the people like do the monster voices, and how they would assume it was, and they just redub over it. So like, there's this Baragon, who's got this girl voice like, ah, and it's the cutest thing.
Plus,
So
I think the Baragon is pretty cute anyway.
Oh yeah, especially in that movie, and it makes it even sadder when he gets spoiler brutalized. But so has any of this made you go, maybe I'm gonna join Casey on the Chicago road trip to All Monsters Attack?
Honestly, probably not, but
I figured.
But you have talked to me about Oda before, and that clip specifically, so I know that you're really excited for her. So I'm glad that she's gonna be there.
I mean, what if like Matt Frank's there? Would you go then?
Probably not.
Oh man, I was gonna say, odds are he'll be there.
I'm sure he will be. Okay. So we got some Fantastic Four movie news. Supposedly, Jeff Kaplan and Ian Springer are set to write the script for the movie.
What have they done before?
I don't know.
Okay, like the names are put out there, like it was like a big deal. So I was like, oh, cool. Is
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
mean, I don't know, just talk about your excitement for that movie real quick and
I
I'll look it
mean,
up.
so I did see a rumor too that there's like these young brother sister actors that they're like Marvel is rumored to be interested in, and the hot rumor is they're going to be Sue and Johnny Storm, which it's like cool, two brunettes playing Sue and Johnny Storm, fantastic. The you know two blondest characters in Marvel universe, but whatever. But I have no idea who they are. It's just like this is one of those movies where I'm like, outside of like with when it comes to Johnny, I don't really have a good preference on who they can cast because I don't know enough young actors. It's like my young actor knowledge kind of stopped at like Logan Lerman, and now that he's our age, it's not really like he's gonna play the 15-year-old kid brother of Sue Storm anymore,
Right. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so Kaplan worked on Cobra Kai.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, and I'm not getting too much on Ian Springer, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
So but anyway, I did see it said the rumor included that these guys had actually been like involved with the project for quite some time. It's just everyone's kept it under wraps.
Yeah.
So we'll see. A lot of these, I don't know, I'll say that writers and directors get dropped like all the time from stuff like this. So we'll see if it
Yeah.
works out. But I would think that the MCU would want to get the Fantastic Four in there sooner than later. So hopefully it's all legit.
Yeah. No, and I guess like I've been hearing a lot of different rumors about Krasinski possibly being it. It was like he was gonna be, and then now they're like, now MCU's not sure what's gonna happen. So I don't know if I don't think they have anything, set in stone yet on any of the casting. So
Right.
give me your four worst choices to be in the Fantastic Four movie.
What forwards what?
Four worst actors you can think of to be each character.
Oh,
Get as bad as possible.
I mean, like Channing Tatum as Mr.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
nice.
um, Jessica Alba as Sue.
Jessica Alba as Ben Grimm.
Right. Um, oh man, imagine like Jai Courtney as Ben Grimm. That'd be just god awful. Um, and gee, I don't know. Who's like a really good actor that would be just so underutilized for this?
Daniel Day Lewis.
Right. There you go. There you go, as Johnny.
Yeah, he's like, I set my body on fire every day while filming to get ready for this.
Right.
I was gonna say Damon Wayans as Sue Storm, like go white chicks mode for it though.
Definitely.
Okay, so Dark Horse added Eric Powell's Albatross Funny Books imprint to the lineup. This is going to include the Goon. Did you hear about? Did you hear what Eddie Gein done? Hillbilly and Big Man Plans, along with Brendan Smalls, Pug Davis. So now instead of him having to do all that, I think himself, because that's what he made it sound. And when he announced it, he's like, now I can get back to just doing what I like to do, and that's creating books instead of having to be responsible for everything else. It's now just going through Dark Horse, which should be better, you'd think. So
I was gonna save my next one for last, but I can't help the segue, Casey.
oh, I love a good segue.
Speaking of Dark Horse, they announced this week that they are leaving Diamond and are going to Penguin Random House along with IDW and Marvel.
So
So
as just as a consumer, which is better, Penguin Random House or the other one, the Lunar?
Oh, Lunar for sure.
Yeah. Now,
Here's what bugs me about Penguin Random House the most. And it doesn't even bug me as much as it bugs uh Mike, because Mike takes care of our purchase orders and puts them into our point of sales tool. So even Diamond does this better. Diamond and Lunar will take anything you've ordered that's set to come out on that date and like reorder stuff that you put in the week before and puts it all on one invoice. Penguin breaks up anything that you've individually ordered and gives you a separate invoice for everything. Really adds on a lot of time bringing everything into the system rather than just using one
yeah,
purchase order. Pain in the ass.
it
Now,
sounds like it.
they do have free shipping, which is nice, because Diamond's shipping expenses are astronomical. But still, it's like, man, you guys would be perfect if you would just do what Lunar and even Diamond does. That being said, I got to give it to Lunar for the ease of everything, and also their customer service is like insanely quick to respond. So
Right on.
but yeah, anyway, so speaking of this, Diamond, the CEO, his name's like Steve Jeppy, I think is his name, put out sort of a backhanded uh like letter that was, was like, oh, we're, you can still order Dark Horse through us like you do Marvel. We can still be your one-stop shop. We still distribute Dark Horse toys and statues. But then he's like, but Dark Horse is only 3% of our overall, like, how we make our money, so it's not that big of a deal to us. But said it
Yeah,
in like a nice way.
yeah,
But like everybody was blasting him for it.
I
Like,
bet.
this is why people are leaving you. You guys are
Yeah,
trash. So I may not read a lot of Dark Horse comics, but there's a lot of nostalgia in Dark Horse comics for me with Star Wars and stuff. I love Dark Horse. I'm glad that they're going to a better company.
and I mean at the very least though, it's like all the Mike Mignola stuff you do check out and you buy for the shop and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I mean, that's still a nice chunk of stuff.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah, it's pretty dumb. So my last bit of news, because yeah, slow news week this week. Teeny Howard and Sweeney Boo are taking over Harley Quinn. They promise more gags, more cameos, and more Ivy than ever. So how excited are you? Because I know you are the Harley head of this group.
That's saying something because I don't read Harley Quinn.
Well, now you can, because you're like, oof, I don't want to read it without Teeny Howard.
Nah, that's all right. I mean, I'll say this: more cameos is cool for anybody that's reading.
It can be, or it can be like 90s Marvel, where it's like, hey, this book's gonna have Spider-Man this week, and you're like, next week it's gonna have Wolverine.
Yeah, yeah, except those were the only two cameos in every
Pretty
90s
much.
Marvel book.
No, every once, because like the Thing was a big deal back then too. So he'd get, because I had this Hulk comic where it was like very misleading, where it's, Gray Hulk on the front, and like you just see the Thing fists, and I'm like, oh, because I got it at an antique shop. I'm like, or a flea market. I was like, oh, the Thing's gonna fight the Hulk again. I was so excited about it. It's Super Scroll.
Man, it's a shame that that I wasn't there and into Super Scroll at the time, because you
Yeah,
could have just been like, here you go.
yeah.
And I would have been like, oh. Oh, that's so funny. All right. My final thing, not really ending on any sort of bombshell, but Netflix announced yesterday or the day before that The Witcher season 3 will be out in the summer of 2023, and their live action spin-off movie, I think is what this is, called Witcher Blood Origin, is going to come out on Christmas Day of this year.
What's this? Is the spinoff gonna be like, who? Because I don't even remember.
It's just like World of the Witcher, so it'll be new characters. And they showed like a tattooed arm and like a lady's arm. I'm guessing those will be the two main characters, but there's really not much info on it.
Okay, is there anything as like Witcher fan number one? You know, like this is the real deal and like the Harley Quinn thing. Is there anybody like that you know from the lore that you're like, it could be McCulk?
No. My guess is that a Witcher will be involved because the animated movie was all about Vesemir. So I'm sure that a Witcher will be involved, but I'm thinking it's still going to be someone from the School of the Wolf, which is the one that Geralt is from, because I'm pretty sure there's like a wolf head tattoo on the arm. Uh, but at this point, it's just like whatever. I'm ready for it. Give it to me.
Yeah. Now, as someone that doesn't know as much about Witcher or Harry Potter, is like the School of the Wolf the same thing as being like a Ravenclaw?
No,
Oh,
because the schools don't really like each other that much, and they're not like at the same place.
okay.
So the school, the Wolves in Kaer which is by itself up in the northern mountains, and then like there's Bear and Griffin and Cat. Um, so and like they each focus on something. Like the Cat is mostly like assassins, and the other Witchers don't really like them because they're like, we didn't become Witchers to assassinate people. So
Yeah,
it's stuff like that. It's very different. They're not really connected.
I gotcha. The cat does sound so lame. You're like, yeah, there's a wolf, a bear, a
A griffin.
griffin, and then it's like these are all pretty cool. They're like, now you're gonna go to the school of the house cat.
I mean, they definitely try to make it look more
Like a bobcat.
like a bobcat or something
Yeah.
like that.
I just love the idea of it being like just like playing with the
A
yarn. Like
tabby.
that's yeah. This one's a calico because you're a female. All calicos are ladies. That's a fun fact that I was told once.
I've heard that fact too. All right. Well, now that you've all heard that fun fact, that is the end of the news. So
We ended on that bombshell for everybody. They're like,
we did. So now we're going to take our ad break and we'll talk some comics when we get back. All right, man. What is the topic of the day?
really, I don't know. I don't really have one. Do you have anything major that happened over the week?
Um, I mean, kind of major, and by that I just mean the new Wonder Years album came out, and it's amazing.
Right on. I listened to them with you before.
I don't know that I've ever been like, dude, check these guys
I
out,
gotcha.
but uh, but now that I know that I haven't, I am going to do
Okay.
that.
I'll give them a listen on my
Yeah,
way home.
yeah. I'll text you a couple songs, but it's really good. The album's called "The Hum Goes On Forever," and it's just one of those things where like these guys are like you get out of high school or college and you're an early adult and everything sucks and like you're kind of angry like but they're
Yeah.
not like a super angry band. It's just like that's the time period that this band puts me. But now they're also in their 30s like we are, so some of them have kids and they're like going through life, and this is just sort of like that next chapter. Not to get too deep on you, but it's just like kind of nice to grow with them, you know what I mean?
Right on.
But it's good stuff.
Now, living in St. Louis, you have a better opportunity than when we were younger to see bands live. Have you seen them live?
I haven't. I've been I follow them on Instagram because I'm like, well, one, I like them a lot, and two, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
if they just put out an album, they have to be touring now. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting for them to get close enough because they're one of those on my short list of like, I've never seen one of my favorite bands. I have to see these guys.
Yeah. Dude, it had me bummed out. So this band that I've mentioned on here before, I'm not sure if you'd like them. They're odd. but they're called Dance Gavin Dance. And because I talked about them sounding like Sonic music or like, old Sega music mixed with metal.
Right.
And but they like the weekend after your wedding, they were in St. Louis. I'm like, man, if Jake could have just got married a week later.
Two birds with one
I
stone.
know. So we can end on this because I think this would be a fun thing to talk about. What's your four best concerts you've ever been to and your four worst concerts?
Sure. Um,
And if you have more than four, you're like, I really want to talk about this time I saw Motley Crue also. You can go ahead. This isn't near as big of a rule as the Fantastic Fours.
right. Best is gonna be a lot easier to do. So believe it or not, the time we saw Matt and Kim, like that's
They put on
absolutely on the list.
they put on a great show. Both times I saw them, it was awesome.
Yeah. So that's up there. Um, I saw the Wombats, who I'm a huge, huge fan of, at this place here in St. Louis called the Ready Room, which is like a pretty small venue in comparison to, you know,
Mm-hmm.
other venues. And it was awesome because it was just like a more intimate show, but everybody was, jumping around, losing their minds. Um, I have to say, like the first time I saw Motley Crue, just because it was the first time,
Yeah.
stars in my eyes sort of thing. Plus, they were playing with a lot of cool people that I
Yeah, it was
liked at
like
the time.
Crew Fest, right?
Yep, it was Crew Fest.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if this counts, but I'm gonna say it does. When I was in a band, we opened for a band that I really liked called The Last Vegas, and they were on Motley Crue's record label for a little bit, and they let me, and I don't want to give away his name in case he doesn't want it on here, but the singer of my band, we got to go up on stage and sing our favorite song with them. Uh, so obviously that was amazing.
Yeah.
Um, and then worst ones, I'm gonna say Metallica because I'm not really a big Metallica fan, and there was like so much secondhand like weed smoke at that show, dude, that like
Yeah.
I just had a headache the whole time. Like I just wasn't feeling it. Uh Also I saw Spinal Tap once because the ticket was given to me by somebody that we both know, but he had a family member pass away, and he'd been looking forward to this show for like months and really wanted his Spinal Tap DVD signed. So I went for him and got that signed for him. Uh, but again, it's just not my thing.
Yeah.
Um, and then there
Didn't
were a
that same
couple.
friend do kind of the same thing with Anvil? Or was that time?
No way, maybe it was Anvil that I'm thinking of. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was
Okay.
Anvil, not Spinal
I
Tap. That's that. Okay, I'm glad you knew what I meant and could
I
correct me.
yeah, I remember that now.
Yep, Anvil. Thank you. And then, God, dude, I've been to just so many shows, like in college and high school. There are plenty uh, where somebody's like tried to fight me, or some drunk idiot just like puked all over the floor, like in the pit, or just something
Yeah.
like that. Um, there was, this isn't on my worst, but there was a time where we were at Pops in Sauget, just across the river, and we were seeing a band called Hell Yeah, which isn't really something I listen to anymore. But like, it's one of those things where you listen to like bad music you used to like, and you're still kind of into it. Um, but that show was nuts. Like, absolutely thought I was gonna die at that show. And I went with a friend of ours named Seth, and Seth is uh a big dude that you don't want to mess with. So I was just like baby koala on his back that whole show so that nobody would come over and mess with us. That was a wild time.
Now,
So there you go.
here, like I don't remember the band's name, but wasn't there, because there was a band that I used to have on back when I had an iPhone that was on my iPhone, and I had one of their songs, and then you had seen them in concert once, and you're like, I like, and you hated them. You're like, I've seen these guys in concert once. After every one of their songs, they would do like they'd make a stupid noise. I don't remember what it was, but if I
I'm trying to think.
had
I
my
don't
iPhone,
know.
I probably would be able to figure it out. But I like, since I don't have that music anymore, I have no clue.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who that would be. Dude, at this point, like that time of my life when I was really just going to shows all the time. And it's been like a decade, right? So
Yeah,
I don't remember too much. But that's funny that that happened.
yeah. Too much of that secondhand weed
Yeah,
cloud in your brain.
apparently. Clearly I sound like somebody that partakes, right? I'm like that
Yeah.
secondhand Mary Jane. What about you, dude?
Okay, so my best, it's like I'm gonna just lump both of Matt and Kim's together because like the first one I saw, it was free. And it was at like a community college in Champaign, whichever one that is. Me and our buddy Clint just went up there and had a blast. And then you and me saw an indie, and that both times it's just they just bring it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw back when they were still a band, Fun. I saw them several times, but the best time was it was in St. Louis. I think it was at the Firebird, or I think that might be the name of a place in St. Louis. But it was them, Steel Train, which is the dude from Bleacher's old band, and this dude named Jared Gorbel. And like we were front and center, during the show. Got to meet Jared Gorbel and Jack from Steel Train, and super cool. Just a great time. And then like trying to think of when I saw Weezer the first time was awesome. I'll get to the second time when the worst shows. Uh,
Oh, I already know that one.
yeah. And then fourth one, I'll say Foxy Shazam. Like that show was awesome. And then like you add in the fact that they got in a bus accident beforehand, and the lead singer had like two broken ribs. Another dude was on crutches, and they still just like tore the place down. Was wild. And then the worst shows, probably like the time I saw Fun and it was Champagne, because they were there with Janelle Monae. At the time, I didn't know anything about Janelle Monae. And I like watched one of her videos, like, this is not for me. No, thank you. And so then like I just watched like the three, the set of like, I don't know, like three songs that Fun did, and then I just left. And there was like a long wait and stuff. And then like the first concert I ever went to was a They Might Be Giants concert. And I love They Might Be Giants, but like when you've only listened to what they sound like in their albums, and then you hear them, live for the first time, and then you also have to wait 3 hours and you're a second grader, this is not a good way. Like I hated it so much. Because like they don't sound the same. It's not the same people. I'm tired and hungry. So yeah, I that was not a good time. I think I like second grade didn't get home until like 1 a.m. that night too. And then I'm trying to think of another concert where I was like, this is kind of a letdown. I don't know. I don't really have another one because most times it's like, I mean, I'm just so happy to be there. But this last one will just take place for two because it was so bad. I got like there was this special show where it was going to be Weezer with, I think it was Panic. I'm not a big Panic guy, but it was like Panic or Fall Out Boy. They're the same band to me, so I
Oh,
really do.
they're not the same, and I like both of them.
Like I'm not a fan of either, and like to me they're just the same exact thing. But it was one of the two. I think it was Panic, and then this dude named Andrew McMahon was going to be the opener. Andrew McMahon, awesome. Like I would recommend, like if you ever get a chance, listen to him. He's very, very talented. And so this was like hot ass day. And I'm like, I get there, there's trouble with my tickets because I have the pass, but my sister bought the tickets for my birthday. And my sister and her husband were going to show up later because they didn't get the behind the scenes pass to meet Weezer. And so then they're like, well, I'll just send you the thing. And like, there's this big, hullabaloo and all this stuff. But I finally get to go through. And then we wait. I wait a couple hours and then we finally get to, like I'm just drenched in sweat because it's so hot out. And then after all this waiting, they get in line like, okay, now when you meet them, you're not allowed to ask for any autographs. Don't touch them. Don't bob, like just to get this, like, you're just gonna get your picture and then you walk on, next person gets their picture. I'm just like, we've waited like 3 hours. And so I'm just defeated at this point because I'm just like so dehydrated, so cranky. And I get in line. Like Rivers, I think, just sense how like just disappointed I am. And he's just like reaches out, shakes my hand. He's like, thank you for being here. And like I get my picture with them. But then like the rest of the, like Brian, Scott, and Patrick didn't even look at me. Rivers again thanks me again, and I walk off. I'm just like, man, I love Rivers still, but fuck the rest of the Weezer guys. And then I go and I sit down and I wait. Then like Liz and Seth get there, and then this venue, I hear it always takes forever. It's like the place in St. Louis at the casino.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so it
Hollywood Amphitheater or whatever.
Yeah, I hear
Casino.
it's terrible as far as just like making you wait. So we wait. It's like an hour over, and then Andrew McMahon finally plays, and it's amazing, And then it starts storming, like there's lightning and thunder and stuff, and so then they're like, "Oh, we gotta stop for now, but they're gonna play, guys." And so we're like, "Okay." So we wait. It starts raining. Just keeps getting worse. Like, just keep an eye on your phones. It'll say something, and it never does. And like it ended up being probably close to 11 o'clock at this point, and nothing still. And me and Liz and stuff are like, oh, we're just gonna leave. So as we're walking out, this cop stops us, and he's like, "So have you heard from them yet?" And we're like, "No, we haven't heard anything. We're just leaving." It's like, "Oh, it's been canceled." It's like, just think of how shitty that is, just to be like the cop that's just like, "Boy, this job, I'm gonna help people and all this stuff." It's like, no, you're gonna tell a bunch of sweaty Weezer nerds that their concert's been canceled.
Oh, that's hilarious, dude.
Yeah, and I was probably there that day for a good 13 hours, probably.
Yeah.
Because I think I saw you for a little bit, and then I went there.
Man,
it was terrible.
So speaking of Andrew McMahon, one of my helpers at the shop, his name is John, is the biggest Andrew McMahon fan. Like, has seen Andrew McMahon at least 30 times.
Wow.
Like, anytime he comes to St. Louis, John's going. He's getting the meet and greet. Like, loves Andrew McMahon.
Is it just because he thinks he's related to Vince McMahon?
No.
He's just funny. Like every time he meets him, he's like, "So I think it's crazy Vince is gone." He's like, "I'm not related to him. Stop talking to me about this, John."
Because he would know him by name at that point. Yeah. It's so funny because for the longest time, I had no idea that Andrew McMahon was something corporate and Jack's Mannequin. Like, just be like, "Oh man, this was pretty good," and then another band like, "Pretty good. Sounds like this other guy,"
Yeah,
but it's good.
Yeah, I found out just because like whenever he was announced for this, I was like, "Oh, he was this person." I mean, like, if you hadn't named Jack's Mannequin, I wouldn't have been like, "Oh yeah, Jack's Mannequin." But I was like, "Oh yeah, he was in this band also." And then I was listening to them a little bit beforehand, and I was listening to his, some of his CDs after, beforehand too. But yeah, otherwise I never would have even known who Jack's Mannequin was, though. So
right. All right, folks, welcome back. If you want to hear Casey and I go on, I'll say at length about music, concerts we've been to, our best and worst concerts, it's a good conversation. Check it out on our YouTube channel. That's Two Worlds Podcast on YouTube.
Okay, man. Oh, and if you want to, have us perform like a small concert at your place, that's, the music's going to be written by Jake, but I'm going to be making it all, what we say into a song for you specifically. All you have to do is help us get a record deal. And once we get said record deal, we have to get platinum, and then we'll just give you your own thing. You'll be our roadie for a little bit, and then we'll just go about and do that. And if not, if you don't want to do all that hard work, you can just watch us on YouTube, leave us a comment that you did it. But what'd you read this week, man?
Wow. So this week I read DC versus Vampires All Out War 3, Fables 155, Batman Superman World's Finest 7, Public Domain number 4. Yep. Samurai Sonia number 4, Jane Foster and the Mighty Thor number 4, Nightwing 96, and Strange number 6.
Right on, man. You've got more than me this week. So I did Ultraman, The Mystery of Ultraseven, number 2, The Flash 786, Strange, number 6, World's Finest, number 7, and Public Domain, issue 4.
All right.
So I'll let you take it away.
So we'll do Fables first. Number 155. It's written by Bill Willingham, and art is done by Mark Buckingham. And this is pretty cool. Jack and the Grain and Mrs. Bear in human form are in like New York City or something and trying to find out how to get back home. And then Big B Wolf, his kids, it kind of shows more of their adventures, or at least between the two of them. One is really getting into some shenanigans. But then at the end, we get, I forget who it is, whoever is, I don't know if it is Peter Pan, but somebody is using Tinkerbell to help with general evil things. And Jack and Mrs. Bear see them, and that's just kind of where it ends. I mean, every issue is like a cliffhanger, but we are just under the halfway point for this series. I'm still really liking it. It's not as cool when it's taking place in like our world, obviously. I like the fantasy stuff a little bit better, but it's still very, very enjoyable. So I'm gonna give it probably like a 7.5.
Right on, man. All right, so I'll start with Ultraman, The Mystery of Ultra 7, number 2. This is by Kyle Higgins and Matt Groom with David Tinto on the art. And so we get more of our main character remembering all the Ultra Seven's past stuff and them chit chatting and all that. It's pretty good. It's just like the fighting stuff is cool, but all the intrigue and all of that, it's just, I don't know. A lot of it kind of falls back on the writing, and I'm not convinced how good this writing is as far as building up, like me going, oh, I need to know what's going on. It's like, I'm not that I don't care that much. It's more just like, ooh, the fights are cool. The art, the art brings it. So that's a plus. So like where the last issue was awesome, this one's just kind of like so because it's, again, I mean, the fights in it are cool, but the rest of it's just kind of meh. So yeah, I'm probably at a 7.5 on this one, which is like kind of what I expected from this series. So I was like blown away by that first issue, thinking I was going to get something more than I wasn't, and we, just kind of went back to what it was.
Right. Okay. So next for me, I'll do DC versus Vampires All Out War number 3. It's written by Matthew Rosenberg and Alex Packnadell. And then the pencils, inks, and gray tones are all done by Pascal Colano. And Again, I really like this art because they do the whole, gray tone with reds as the only color, which is pretty awesome. Um, it's also like really heavy on Mary Marvel and Azrael, which is cool. And then
Two of your
Deathstroke's there.
current favorite books.
Yeah, I know, right? Um, so yeah, it's pretty cool. They're just trying to Batwoman joins up this time. They're trying to set and Starfire and somebody else trying to set them free so that they can help find the final Lazarus pit. But it's cool. I like the team. I like all the random characters. Like at the end, it teases uh, like a team of Prometheus, the Gotham Knight, and Shining Knight um, fighting the good guys. So that should be pretty cool. Um, and then the backup is again how Dick Grayson became a vampire. So that's pretty neat. The art's like insanely good in that. So I liked a lot. Also, I got the variant cover by Lyrics,
Nice.
who's one of my favorite cover artists right now. She does a lot of the Red Sonja covers. So it was cool to see her do Starfire. But I like it a lot. I'm at like an 8 on this.
Right on, man. I'm glad that's getting better because it was pretty rough to start.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think right now that this spinoff is better than the main title.
Yeah. Okay, so next up, it's a Dark Crisis tie-in, The Flash, 786.
And we joked that it would be a tie-in, and it was.
At least it wasn't a Flashpoint tie-in, like I said it was going to be.
Yeah.
But this is by Jeremy Adams and Amike Nelapan on the art. And I like the art okay in this. It's not great, but I will say, Jake, you missed out on a nice bit of JSA. That is one thing you miss out on this because basically all the villains are attacking. You just get Flash and the Flash family. So it's Flash, Iris, Irie, and Jay, and who's with them? Max Mercury, Jay, Wallace, Jesse are also all there, and they're just running around helping take out bad guys. Basically, since there's so many of them doing stuff that they shouldn't. And Power Girl gives Jay some tips as far as like using his super strength. And there's a Clarion the Witch Boys there. Like I said, JSA shows up. It's pretty good time. Hawkman's there with his chest hair out, but it's still a tie-in, so it's not even as good of a tie-in as the last tie-in that we got from the Flash, which was like just last issue. So for that, it's like probably gonna be an 8 because I don't know, that last one was a lot of fun, and this one just was like, yeah, look, Flash can beat up all these villains unless they're the main villain in his book for this for this time. Otherwise, he cannot, and like that stuff's kind of annoying to me. But yeah, other than that, it's still a good time. So yeah, 8 out of 10.
All right. Samurai Sonia #4. It's written by Jordan Clark with art by uh, Mariana Puglia. This whole thing is like there's lots of cool fighting in it, but it's all just sort of like a vision sort of thing. Like she's under the influence of some like evil spirit, so she's fighting like versions of her father that's telling her how much of a failure she is. And then for the D&D fans out there who know what the Aarakocra race of like bird people are, she fights like a lot of those, which is pretty cool. So definitely action heavy, but the last page she finally shows up to this demon's like island or wherever he is land, and it says to be concluded. So it's like, man, we only get one more issue where she like for the first time interacts with the big bad. I just feel like it's going to be rushed, which is a
Yeah.
shame.
Or they could be learning the Marvel way.
Well, yeah.
You know.
Well, the thing is like I feel like another volume of this, like another mini series, would probably be better because they could just
Yeah.
skip all the origin stuff and just get right into it.
And
So
that's, I mean, that's kind of what they did with the old Jenny Zero, where it's just like, yeah, now we're going to take a break and then it's going to be season two or whatever, it could be the same thing.
yeah, I hope that it is because I do like this series and the art is just so killer. So um again, I want to show off her cool armor.
That is pretty rad.
So um I'm gonna give it a 7.5 because I do like it. There wasn't much like story substance there.
Right. Okay, all I got left is our three Muchis.
Okay. So Jane Foster in The Mighty Thor #4, written by Torrin Groenbeck and art by Michael Dowling. It's fine. It's just kind of more stuff. Jane and Thor are like trying to escape like bad visions in limbo or whatever. Uh, and then Sif and Bill are leading the fight against Tyr and the others that are fighting Asgard. And then at the end, you find out who the big bad is, who's pulling all the strings, and it's Ares. So there's one more issue where I guess Jane and Thor come back and should have absolutely no problem against Ares because Thor's beat him in the past, and also Jane is invincible. So I just don't see how anything could go wrong for them. So
Yeah,
it's fine. This was probably like the weakest issue though. So probably like a 7.
right on. Okay, what order do you want to do these in?
Oh wait, I've got Nightwing still.
Oh, yeah, sorry. That book's forgettable, so what can I say?
Gosh, I want to forget it. Unfortunately, there was a couple things in this that made me so angry that I couldn't forget it. But anyway, it's written by Tom Taylor and the art's done by Bruno Redondo. As always, the art is top tier and really carries this book. It's just, man, some of the storytelling is just so bad. Like, so as I said last time, Blockbuster knows that Dick Grayson is Nightwing. Um, and when they finally like go to fight, it's one-on-one Nightwing versus Blockbuster. There's a super cheesy line. He says, "You don't know Nightwing, you don't know Dick Grayson, or you'd know that there's no way in hell either one of us would let you hurt our friends," and then kicks him out a window, and he lands on the ground, and this like little orphan boy comes up and dumps water on his face and says, "This place doesn't belong to you. Get out of our haven." And then Blockbuster like gets up and flees. It's like, dude, I don't know. I just feel like the 90s Blockbuster would have grabbed that kid and just squished
Yeah.
him. You know what I mean? Like Blockbuster just is kind of lame. And then he's like, "I need a getaway car, electrocutioner, and fatal or brutal, help me." And they're just like, "No way, man," and flip him the bird and drive off. Um, there is one kind of nice scene between Dick and Barbara, um, where Dick does the super worn out and tired thing where he's like, "Blockbuster knows who I am. We can't be together. You're in danger." And Barbara's like, "You're an idiot. We're in danger anyways because we're superheroes, but we make each other happy and we should make it work." And then he's like, "Oh, yeah, okay." And then, spoiler alert, at the end, what's his name? The Heart Stealer, Heartless hits Blockbuster kind of right here with his little beam, but then gets the heart out of Blockbuster, who falls over dead, I assume. And Heartless says, "Your corrupt heart will be the center of Bloodhaven. It'll just be beating in my chest. Your city's mine now." And that's how it ends. So it's like, boy, Blockbuster was a limp noodle in this, and it's really disappointing. And also, I just still hate that if you're going to give away Dick's identity, I don't like it, but you could have made it interesting with how he either deals with everybody knowing who he is or making blockbusters hold that over him. Like, I'm not going to tell, but also I've got power over you now. But now that neither of that's going to happen because some new villain that Tom Taylor created just steals the heart out of and kills Blockbuster. So it's like, okay, well that interesting bit is now gone. So it's just I think it's trash, dude. Honestly, like it's so bad.
Yeah. No, I mean like I agree. I think Nightwing's the whole like, oh, this is who he, Nightwing's Dick Grayson, blah blah. That could have worked really well because it kind of worked when it happened in the other comic because it's like that's part of a really good story. Like it worked when the same exact thing happened to Daredevil and Kingpin. Like it works. It's just when you have stuff like that, just kind of be like, well, it's been fixed already. Bye bye. Especially for a character like him, like Blockbuster should be a bigger deal than just a one-off arc. So
Yep,
yeah, that's pretty lame.
it is. So I'm gonna give it a 3, and those 3 points are all for the artwork.
Okay, man. So what order do you want to do these three in?
Public domain, Strange World's Finest.
Sounds good. Okay, so public domain by Chip Zdarsky. And I like this. I mean, honestly, it felt like this whole series was building up just to this, and now like the actual story of what this series is gonna be is gonna start happening. Like that's the one downside. It's like this is like all first four issues are kind of filler for what this is gonna become. What do you
Yep.
think of it though?
Yeah, I mean it's good. It's good. Um, Couple like goofy parts, but overall, just like all the other issues, I really like it. But this very much feels like a volume one,
Yeah.
and it's one of those things where like you and I like Chip Zdarsky and like his storytelling, so we're on board for volume two. Is this by itself good enough for a new reader to read it and be like, okay, I'll keep going? Or is it just like, huh, interesting, and then they don't pick up anymore?
I have a feeling it's good enough as far as comic book fans go because it's still like Chip's become a marketable name at this point. Like if it was just like, oh yeah, this is my new book that I'm doing right off the jump, it probably wouldn't work. But with it being Chip Zdarsky, I think it's going to.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot that I have to say about it. That's like, it's just like it's a perfectly good book that I enjoy a good bit. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm at like an 8.5 for it. What about you?
Yeah, I'm sitting at like an 8. It was solid. All right. Then we've got Strange, number 6. And that's written by Jed McKay with art by Lee Garbett. And there was basically no Strange in this book. It should have been
Right.
called Wong number 6.
Which, if they made a Wong book that was just this type of storytelling, boy, that would be my new favorite book though, because I love this style of storytelling.
Yeah, it
Wong and
was a
bats.
solid. I know it was a very solid issue. We kind of get a look back into Wong's past a little bit with a little, I'll say a mild gasp twist there at the end, you know?
See, I really wasn't because it was like I expected her from the start.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm just not good at that sort of thing because I didn't see it coming.
Well, I mean, from a normal person's perspective, it's probably not, but it's like when you read enough of these type of stories where it's like, I'm just gonna spoil it when it's like always the lady that they meet, and with one the other lady is Black Widow. I'm like, it's probably not Black Widow.
Right. But yeah, no, I liked it a lot. The art is solid. It's cool to see him go to these different spots and see these different characters. Um,
And dealing with his inner turmoil over losing Strange was pretty cool too.
right. And also, he's like, I'm missing my memories. I need to go see Jean Grey to get it worked out. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So yeah, I liked it a lot. I'm at like a good 9 on this one.
that's where I'm at too. I do like too how Gene though's like, huh, giving back memories isn't really what I do. It's like, yeah, what you do is go in people's brains without them asking usually.
And I'll say that that's probably my pick of the week too.
Yeah, me too. Um, because I like this next book, but I don't think I'd like it as much.
Yeah.
And our next book is World's Finest by Mark Wade, and I gotta get the art page, and that's Dan
It's
Mora
Dan
on the
Mora.
art.
Also,
And
I just real quick want to point out that I got the B cover that Dan Mora did, and it's so good.
that is awesome. Like this this book was pretty great. I love the opening. Dan Mora doing the All-Star Superman opening. What'd you think though, man?
It was really, really good. Um, there at the end, like, okay, so this kid, what's his name, David or something like that, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Um, when he went and found them on this earth, I was like, oh, like I got like cringy, awkward, but not like bad cringy. Just
Yeah.
oh, this isn't gonna end well, cringy. Um, but it was handled. I think it was handled well. I kind of like we don't know what this kid's power levels could be, but between like Robin and Superman there to like help on a power level and just like emotional, we're both young adult level. I think there's a lot of potential here.
Yeah. One thing that kind of bothers me is this book is Elseworld. Best case scenario, if we like love this character, best case scenario is his universe gets brought back. Worst case scenario, he dies very sadly.
Yeah. It's I just gotta say too, it's always nice when Dan Mora draws some group I'm not expecting to see, like
Yep.
Doom Patrol and now the Teen Titans.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
It is this book though, like I said it before, it just needs to be worlds of characters Mark Wade wanted to write because that's what's kind of becoming.
Yep, for sure.
But I'll give this, since I said I like Strange more, I'll give it a 8.5.
I guess I have to do the same for the same reasoning,
I mean,
but
you could still say it's a 9, but you just like the other 9 more.
well, then I think I will do that.
All right.
Because I think this has a lot of awesome potential.
Right on, man. So, what are you excited for next week?
Um, there's this book called Briar coming out that sounds pretty cool. I
What's that
would
about? Because I saw it in the email and I was like, Jake's getting that because I can tell by the name. I just know it's a. I mean, it sounds like a fantasy book.
yeah, it looks like one, to be honest. I couldn't tell you what it's about. I remember reading the description when I was doing the order form and thought this sounds neat. And then they're like, oh, by the way, Stephanie Hans is doing a cover. I'm like, okay, well, that's the cover I'm getting. And I flipped through it and it looks cool. So I'll be
Right
able to
on.
tell you more next week. But I'm gonna
Right
say
on.
that one and then uh Thor, because I feel like it's been
It's been
another
at
two
least two
months.
months.
I know, which is a bummer. Um, and then let's see here. Probably the final issue of Task Force Z.
Right on. For me, it's going to be Action Comics. I'm excited to see what they're doing next. After this whole War World stuff. I have a feeling it's gonna be like a filler issue, but the filler issues have been really good, so I'm not, like gonna be upset about a filler issue. 8 Billion Genies, I love that book, so that's for sure. And then Superman Space Age, I really like that book. So,
Excellent.
did you ever get that read?
No, but I will in time for this one.
Right on, man. Now, do you want to talk about Starman really quick before we get to the Fantastic Four?
Sure.
All right.
I will let you facilitate the discussion.
Okay, man. So, I mean, boy, it's been 7 years, I think, since I've read it, because I think that's how long you've had my books.
Yeah, that sounds
So
about right.
so I'm not 100% sure on all the different stuff that, that's been going on in it, but yeah, what was your opinion on the ending? Since this is one of the few books, that's like one of my favorite things about it, is it's one of the few books that has a proper ending.
It does have a proper ending, and like almost everybody gets one too, which
Yeah,
is
right?
cool. Not just Jack. Um, but man, just the way everyone's tied together. Like at the end, these characters from a one-shot Shade Journal issue end up coming into play. It's like, how?
Yeah. Dude, I loved it too, how James did such a good job of bringing stuff together with Starman, because the Starman lore sounded like a muddy mess. And then he like brought, I think it would be like what, late 80s, early 90s Starman back to Silver Age, or yeah, Silver Age Starman, and brought those two together and all of that, and gave them both endings. And just, it was all awesome how they handled all of it.
It was. And man, I mean, this book will make you a fan of the Shade. The Shade is just one of the coolest characters. Um, and at the beginning, you think he's just a bad guy, but he's not. He's really
Yeah.
not. He's just kind of having fun with the Silver Age heroes, uh, but would do anything for Opal City, clearly. And then the way that he has his own inner demon and has to deal with that by the end is cool. And there was this is full of spoilers because this book is like 30 years old, but the way that gosh, is it Ted? Is that Jack's dad?
Yeah.
The way that Ted dies with the mist there towards the end, out in space was absolutely heartbreaking but amazing. And the only thing, like, I don't think that we need any more from these characters or this story, but a part of me does kind of want to see more of Jack coming into his fatherhood role and just how he deals with that.
Yeah.
um but there is that cool issue there towards the end where he has like a meeting with Superman just about life and stuff in general, which is really really good. But again, everything about this series is so good. I'm really glad that Casey made me read it. It has a ton of like just super cool side characters. You'll fall in love with all of them, and then ones you already love you'll love more because he brings in some old school Silver Age characters like Wesley Dodds Sandman and
And then
Hourman. And
what's neat too with the Sandman and Captain Marvel at the time, when he brought both of them in, he actually got their current, like the people that were working on their books, to do the art for it,
yep.
which made things even cooler.
Yes, because uh at the time Casey gave me these, I was really really into Sandman Mystery Theater, so it was really cool to see that artwork transition into this series as well. And Wesley's just the coolest, and so is his wife Diane, and I really really love their interactions with Jack. um it was just the coolest. So
Right on, man. Well, I'm glad that you finally read it. I'm glad that you liked it. And how many of those do you have at the shop so people listening can buy them all from you?
the thing is that these are long out of print and
Yep.
very, very expensive. But uh, within the last 6 months, DC put out a Starman Omnibus Volume 1, which is huge.
Yeah.
But it's a nice paperback. You do get a lot of bang for your buck, even though it seems expensive. I mean, the series is like 78 issues or something like that. My only hope is that they put out that volume 2 so that everybody can get everything.
Yeah. I
But I
wonder
could not suggest it more.
I wonder because James had a lot to do with the omnibuses that I have, the hardcover boys. And so like that's why you got stuff in the orders that they're in and all that stuff. So I wonder if this one will be as complete, because like there's a lot of like random stuff thrown in that were like, oh yeah, this is a one-off. There's the stars and stripes stuff that like kind of adds to the story because James wanted it all to connect. So it's like, I wonder how they're gonna, if they're just doing Starman or if they're gonna do all this other stuff with it.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, as a newly minted Hellboy boy, what'd you think of the Hellboy Starman crossover?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It should I wish it had gone on for more than just those couple issues.
Yeah.
It's cool though, because like this era of DC Comics is the best because you could just bring in whoever you wanted, and they can't
Hmm.
do that anymore. You hear
Yeah.
all the time of writers saying, "Well, I wanted to use this, but the higher ups wouldn't let me." No, in this, you get Sandman, you get Hellboy, just like all these random characters. It's the same way with like Neil Gaiman's Sandman. There's like characters that pop up in that you're just like, I would not have expected this, but it's really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, I think with this it helps one that it's like a C-list character, so like it's not as big of a deal. And then I think part of it also helps too, though. It's like I mean, the he's probably on good terms with the other creators working. So like, oh yeah, them, you know, doing this stuff, it's fine. It's versus now where it's like, well, actually, my stuff's all self-contained in this. I don't want to have it, And then what I thought was neat was how, because he talked about this, like James talked about this in the openings when he goes to Krypton, how he gets to kind of like help shape Superman's, origin that way too. I thought that was really neat
Yep.
because he was like, I didn't think they'd actually let me do that, but DC did. And I mean, it's probably been retconned 50 times since then, so it doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah, but at the time it was a big deal.
Yeah. Okay, man. So this kind of leads though, since Starman did get a proper ending, since he's like I said, a D-list character, he's allowed to have this proper ending where no one's ever going to touch him again because James had that written in his contract. So if you had it your way and you could be like, there's 4 characters that I want to have their stories end, and this is how I would do it. What are the characters and how would you end their stories?
Okay, so when I looked at the notes, I kind of thought that I didn't know that I could pick whoever. I thought you wanted me to
Oh,
do it for the 4 that
oh
was
no,
listed.
those were just the ones that I came up with ideas for mine.
Okay. Well, I'm doing them too.
Nice.
But they'll probably not be as detailed as yours. With Batman, I think a lot of people would say, him getting married or whatever, finally. But I wouldn't even want that. I would just want him to just be at peace, mentally. Uh just accept what's happened, be content with the Bat family and who he passed his legacy on to, and then actually just retire peacefully.
Yours is a lot happier than mine for Batman.
Well, I can't wait to hear it. Um, for Superman, I mean, this might be kind of lame, but I want him and Lois to grow old together on the Kent farm.
That's almost spot on for mine. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Jonathan is doing his own thing, uh, probably taking over uh for Clark. Nova, I'm not super sure on because I don't know as much about Nova as you do. But if I had to guess, it would be something along the lines of the Nova Corps is in good standing. policing the galaxy or whatever it is that they're doing with enough manpower, and Richard not going crazy with the prime whatever in his head all the time.
Yeah.
And then Wolverine, every time that dude falls in love with somebody, they like get killed. So it would just be cool if for once that didn't happen. And again, kind of like Superman, he gets like a cabin out in the mountains or something and just has a peaceful, happy life.
Right on, man. Yours are much happier than two of mine anyway. Okay, so with Batman, it'd be like just be Batman through the years. He'd just be getting older. He'd be keep getting like new kids to hang out with them, like, but then like it'd spread out. So like, he'd have Nightwing. Then Nightwing also have his like, he'd have his Barbara kid, and he'd also have his Starfire kid. And then, Tim would be there, and Tim would have his little people, and Red Hood, all of them would just have, so there'd be like basically a Bat army. And at this point, like Terry's there, and Batman's probably pushing like 80, and he isn't going out as much anymore. But then he's just like, I want to go out. And they're all like telling him, like, oh, I don't know if you should. He's like, I'm going to. And then he goes out, he sees this guy pull a gun out on a mom and a dad and their kid, and he stops. It's in Crime Alley. It's like, very much just like a repeat of when, and he saves them. They run off, and then like Batman has a heart attack because he's so dang old at this point. Hits, and then like the rest of the Bat family are there, and they're trying to help him, but they know he's already gone. And like it just, Bruce is like, Ghost is there standing there now, and then there's, mom, pa, Wayne are there, like, let's go, son. And then he goes back to being a kid, and they go off, and they're all like, it's like, oh man, dad's dead.
That isn't as happy as mine, but also I feel like that's how he'd want to go.
Yeah.
So it's still nice.
And then Superman, it's about the same exact thought of yours. Like Superman's like flying around trying to do Superman stuff every time, since there's like 800 different Supermen at this point. Like he'll try to save someone, John's already there. He tries to save someone else, Steel's there. He tries to save, the planet from like a meteorite, Keenan Kong's there. Like Supergirl's stopping something else. He's just like, and then he's like talking to Pa, and like as he's there, Ma Kent's like, your dad's getting a little too old to be doing this for me. Like he's adamant he's not going to hire anybody, but he can't keep up with it. And he's like, And so then like he just brings up to Pa, he's like, how about I buy you out of the farm? And he takes over the farm with Lois. Lois is like, like John's boyfriend is actually like scooping her all the time anyway. So she's like, I'll just become editor of the Smallville Times, whatever. And so then they just end up staying there. And then like it would end, of course, like with like Superman super hearing, like something like happens, and like he kind of looks at Lois, and he like opens up his bib overalls, and then like the Superman shirt's still on there, he flies off.
Again, very nice.
Yeah. And then the Nova one, this would just be kind of a ripoff of when David Tennant left, Doctor Who. Like he gets blasted with something, like while he's on a mission. He like he tells the rest of this, like the other Nova Corps members, like, I'm fine, guys. Don't you worry about it. Like he's with Sam, let's say. And he's like, don't worry about it. And then like the world mind's in his head, he's like, you're not fine. He's like, I know. And so then like he goes and he sees, like he helps save, Guardians of the Galaxy do something, he says bye to all of them. He tells Gamora, like he tells them all goodbye, and then like Gamora can tell something's up. She's the only one. And I'm not going to go into the whole like thruple stuff that with a Star-Lord that Al Ewing threw in for no reason. But, like Gamora can tell, he's like, don't worry about it. It's nothing. And then, he flies off, and then he like sees the new Warriors, helps them with something, he just has like a nice sit down, says bye to his parents, and he flies off. And like is like, I'm assuming, like I pictured it as like his powers like just basically gonna make him blow up, and he just blows up in outer space, and then that's it.
That one is a bit depressing, I'll give you that.
And then I mean, he could even look at the reader and go, I don't want to go, and then as he blows up. But and then the Wolverine one, this is like the Batman one, where he's like, he's getting older, and like he's slowing down, and like as he's teaming up with Laura, he's like, now this Wolverine is actually the best at what she does. I'm no longer like I'm too old for this. And so then he just kind of like he goes to the superhero old folks home, because like at this point, since he doesn't age as quick, like Steve Rogers is there, and so is Peter Parker, and like let's say Luke Cage, they're all there, and they're and he goes there with a thing of beer with Ben Grimm every month, and they play cards, and he's like bringing up how he's slowing down. They're like, you might just need to retire, let her take over, and so then he just ends up buying out a bar and running the bar, and he meets a lady like you'd suggest, but this lady's also got healing factor, so she can't die. Or how about he meets Dead Girl, so then like doesn't even matter.
I respect it.
Yeah.
All
I just like
right.
the idea of a retired old folks home for superheroes.
I know. I'm surprised that Mark Russell hasn't written that comic yet.
I hope he's listening so he can.
All right. Well, that's the end of the episode, folks. So closing plugs, if you would, please go to facebook.com/2worldspodcast and give our page a like. You can also follow us on Twitter at 2_worlds_PC and on Instagram at 2worldspod. You can email us at 2worldspodcast@gmail.com. And if you would, please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. That's 2 Worlds Podcast on YouTube.
And leave us a comment down below if you were like, this is how I think Speedball should, have his ending, or whoever else you want to talk about. But we'd love to stay in chat. But Jake's got turkey to put on his head. Bye, guys.
Bye.